Hello friends, Pastor John here with Legacy Christian Fellowship. Let me ask you, are you content today? There's a lot of discontentment going around, especially a day like today, whether it's in your own life or your family, in your home, maybe it's at work, maybe it's the outcome of elections didn't go like you wanted it to, and so a lot of people are discontent today. The word says that godliness with contentment is great gain. Godliness with contentment is great gain. A lot of people are out there trying to gain, but they're not finding contentment in it. So godliness is found in the person of Jesus Christ and in his character. When we pursue him and his character traits, that puts us on the right course for godliness. It's always found in him. And then we're left with contentment. What is contentment? It literally means to be fully provisioned, that that we are not in a state of need because God is taking care of us. It comes from a word that means to build a wall and to be behind a barrier. So we are effectively well provisioned in the fortress of our God. And so that sense of contentment, peace at our soul level. So I want to give you 5 quick keys to contentment, where we can find it, how we get it. Because again, we don't have it automatically. It must be learned and practiced. So in Philippians chapter 4, Paul says, I rejoice greatly in the Lord. And that tells us number one. Number one is joyful gratitude in the Lord. Contentment comes from joyful gratitude in the Lord. There's always something to be grateful in the Lord. People were helping the Apostle Paul in his ministry, so he rejoiced greatly that they were able to help him out. And he says, but I don't speak in regard to need. So that's number 2, that contentment is not and cannot be conditional on need and provision, where I'm content as long as I get everything that I want. Well, we never will as humans. And so contentment can never be conditional on need provision. So he says, not that I speak in regard to need. And that leaves number 3, that contentment is a learned skill. He says, not that I speak in regard to need, for I have learned to be content in whatever state, in whatever condition that I am in. I've learned to be content. So we don't have it automatically. We have to learn it and practice it. One way we can understand it is number 4, to be aware of our situation. Ignorance is not godliness. He says, for I know how to have nothing. I know how to have everything. I know how to be hungry, to be full, to abound, to suffer need. Be self-aware so that when things come up and when hardships arise, you can come to the Lord with honesty, not just pretending that the need doesn't exist. Come to the Lord with your needs and your wants and submit to him as to what he thinks is right, and he can give good counsel and lead us in the right direction. So let's not be ignorant, but let's be aware of our situation and our circumstance so that we can finally, number 5, finally and fully believe that God will take care of us, that our strength comes from the Lord. Because this is what Paul says next. He says, I know how to abound and to suffer need. I can do all things. All of those circumstances, all those situations, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. We love that verse, but we pull it out of context. What things? Well, all the things that God has called us to do, irrespective of our circumstances. That we can have everything and we can have nothing, but we're going to stay on track with the Lord because it is Christ who gives us strength. Friend, the Lord is not going to drop you. He's not just going to leave you. He's not going to forsake you. Jesus is with you. This is where we find great contentment, knowing that God is going to look out for us and that we have the strength for today. It comes from Jesus himself. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. In that, we can be content. Amen? All right, well, that's all for now. If this helps, fantastic. If you know somebody who's struggling with contentment, you might forward this on to them, and maybe it can be a blessing to somebody else too. So that's all for now. God bless you. We'll talk soon.